questioned Professor Foley on cross. We want to do this up there. Do you guys care? Up there. We can do it up there.
Professor Foley, the SPJ Code of Ethics states, avoid pandering to lurid curiosity even if others do, correct?
It does.
Does the video at issue in our case violate that provision of the Code of Ethics?
Absolutely.
The Code of Ethics also says balance the public's need for information against potential harm, correct?
Correct.
Does the video at issue in this case violate that provision of the Code of Ethics?
No question.
The Code of Ethics also says weigh the consequences of publishing or broadcasting personal information. Do you see that?
I do.
Does the video at issue in our case violate that provision of the Code of Ethics?
It does.
The Code of Ethics also says show compassion for those who may be affected by news coverage, correct?
Correct.
Does the video at issue in our case and the defendant's publication of it violate that provision?
Absolutely.
The last bottom right section says abide by the same high standards they expect of others, meaning the publication should abide by high standards that they expect of other people to abide by. Is that your understanding?
It is.
In publishing the video of Mr. Balea in a bedroom, did the defendants violate that provision of the Code of Ethics?
I believe so.
Right above it, it says, expose unethical conduct in journalism. Do you believe it's your duty to expose unethical conduct in journalism, Professor?
Yes.
You were asked about when you were retained in this case. Had you reached any opinions at all when you were retained?
No.
And during the course of reviewing materials, you learned that the defendants post a pornographic video on their website of my client. Is that right?
That's correct.
Did it take you very long to determine that posting pornography of a person who was secretly filmed does not meet the standards of journalism?
Didn't take much time at all.
Does the fact that a celebrity is involved make a secretly taped pornographic video appropriate under the Code of Ethics?
Celebrities are people, so it would not be.
Mr. Sullivan asked you about movie reviews. Do you recall that?
Yes.
You've seen movie reviews of R-rated movies, correct?
I have.
Did those movies show frontal nudity that appeared in the films?
The reviews?
Yes, the reviews.
I don't recall seeing any.
Isn't it a practice in journalism that movie reviews don't show explicit scenes from the films? Nudity, sex?
I've never seen one.
And even if they did, which apparently they don't, even if they did, actors consent to being in films. It's scripted and they approve of it, correct?
And they're paid to do it, yes.
I'm just going to clarify some of your testimony. You testified that the existence of the video at issue, the fact that it existed in the world, that's a newsworthy subject for discussion, correct?
Yes.
But the video itself, posting the video itself with the nudity and the sex, would you reach the same conclusion or a different conclusion?
It was not news. It's not journalism.
You were asked about Playboy, do you recall?
I do.
The women who appear in Playboy consent to be photographed, don't they?
I'm certain they do.
They are paid to be photographed, correct?
They are paid.
They agree to give up their privacy in doing these photo shoots where they are paid and they consent, correct?
Correct.
Do you think that the Playboy example is a fair comparison to the situation that we have in this case where Mr. Balea was secretly filmed?
Apples and oranges. I don't think there's They are comparable.
You were asked about a Demi Moore Vanity Fair cover shot. You recall?
I do.
Do you recall that Mr. Sullivan did not put up the photo of Demi Moore?
He did not.
I'd like to put up the photo of Demi Moore. Professor Foley, do you think that this photo violates the code of ethics?
As I said before, I think it's art. I think it's tasteful. I think that she agreed for the shot. And I think that it was not lurid in any way, in my opinion.
Do you see her bare breasts exposed in this photo?
No.
Do you see her genitals exposed in this photo?
No.
Is she engaged in sexual activity in this photo?
No.
Was she secretly recorded in this photo?
No.
She consented to this photo, correct?
I'm certain she did. She posed.
She probably approved that particular photo as part of the process.
I have no knowledge, but I'm certain that she would have photo approval in her contract.
And the photographer who took this, Annie Leibovitz, is considered widely, would you not say, one of the finest photographers in the world.
That's true.
Do you think this is a fair comparison of the video that was posted of my client at Gawker.com where he was secretly filmed in a private bedroom, naked, engaged in sex?
I do not.
You were asked about Madonna. Do you recall that?
I do.
She sold a book, her own book, for a profit. Is that your understanding?
That's what I understand.
And in that book, she posed in sexually explicit and nude poses. Do you recall that?
I've read about it. I'm not sure I saw the book.
Do you have a different understanding, or is that your understanding? She was at least nude.
That is my understanding, yes.
She consented to that, right?
More than that, she volunteered it. She created it.
She was the producer of the whole thing.
That is correct.
She profited from the book
I'm
sales.
sure she did.
Any privacy that was at issue, she gave it up. Is that right?
That wouldn't be an issue. Yes, you're right.
Does that mean that people can now take secret footage of Madonna having sex and post it just because she posed for a book?
I can't imagine it, no.
If a pornographic video of Madonna surfaced and it was taken without her knowledge and it was published, would you say it violates the code of ethics and all those provisions we just read?
Absolutely.
Mr. Sullivan asked you about, before I get there, is the Madonna example a fair comparison of the situation we have here where a video of my client naked and having sex in a private room where he didn't know he was being filmed, is that a fair comparison?
Madonna's book, a fair comparison? No, I don't believe it is.
Mr. Sullivan asked you about warning labels on publications. Do you recall?
I do.
In this case, defendant A.J. Delario labeled his post NSFW, not safe for work. Do you recall that?
I do.
He also said, watch it anyway. Do you recall that?
I do.
Is that an effective warning label?
It's not much of a warning label.
Mr. Delario also wrote in his post that it's something we're not supposed to see. Do you recall that?
I do.
Does reader interest alone dictate what the First Amendment protects?
I don't think so.
The fact that some readers may be interested in watching a secretly filmed pornographic video, that doesn't make the video automatically newsworthy, does it?
No.
You were asked about how things have changed since 1992. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Is it as wrong today to post pornography in the name of news as it was in 1992?
I don't think things have changed that much, if at all.
You were asked about nude photos of the royal family. Do you recall that?
I do.
Are you aware of any pornographic videos of the royal family being published where they were having sex?
No.
Do you recall reading that Kate Middleton sued the publications in Europe over the posting of the topless photos that Mr. Sullivan asked you about?
I've read about it, yes.
Did you also read that she obtained a court injunction forcing those publications to remove those photos?
I did read that, yes.
Do you recall Mr. Sullivan asking you about an ABC, a local ABC News report reporting on this lawsuit the day it was filed? Do you recall that?
I do.
And they had some excerpts of video showing Mr. Balea in a bedroom. Do you recall that?
I do.
Do you recall Mr. Balea wearing a shirt throughout the entire video clip?
I believe so, yes.
Did you see Mr. Balea's penis when you saw that video clip from the ABC News?
I did not.
Did you see Mr. Balea engaged in sexual activity in that video clip posted on the ABC News?
I did not.
Is it your understanding that ABC News obtained that video having originated from Gawker posting that video on its website?
I'm assuming that's the case, yes.
So is this one of the examples of the video that was posted at Gawker being disseminated more broadly?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan asked you about a lap dance article that appeared in the local St. Petersburg Times, correct?
Correct.
And the two women who appeared in that photo were exotic dancers. Is that your understanding?
That's what I understand from the story, yes.
Those two dancers consented to being nude in public. Is that your understanding?
They must have, yes.
And they were performing nude in public for money. They were paid for it. Is that your understanding?
I'm assuming they got paid, yes.
They consented to exposing their bodies?
No question.
And Mr. Sullivan showed you a photo of them. Let's take a look at that photo. Do you see any bare breasts in this photo, Professor?
I do not.
Do you see any genitalia?
I do not.
Describe what you see.
Two, apparently, at least topless. It's a bad picture. I'm assuming they're women. Kissing and embracing.
You see a back. Do you see a back?
I do see a back.
It's a bare back. It's not a bare front, it's a bare back,
It's a
correct?
bare back, yes.
Do you think this is a fair comparison of the video that was posted at Gawker.com of my client in a private bedroom engaged in sex?
No.
Let's look at the description of the video that was in the article. It says, you can just keep the photo, I'll just read it. Or if you can show both. But you can actually get them both in there. Yeah, perfect. It says, the tape shows repeated close-ups of female genitalia and appears to show women engaging in oral sex on stage. That's describing the video from which this photograph, we'll strike that. The article is describing a video, correct?
Correct.
The picture that you see does not show close-ups of female genitalia, does it?
It does not.
It does not show women engaging in oral sex on stage, does it?
It does not.
It does not show nude dancers wrapping their legs around customers' heads, does it?
No.
It does not show a radio-controlled truck with a sex toy attached to the front of it, directed between a performer's legs, does it?
No.
Would you say that this report from the St. Petersburg Times follows the Code of Ethics?
It's a close call, but I would say yes.
If this report had an online component and it showed video like I just described of the dancers doing the things that it describes, would you believe that that would be a violation of the Code of Ethics?
I think that would be lurid, to say the least.
Do you think it would be pandering to lurid curiosity?
Yes.
Do you think it would violate the balance of the public's need for information against potential harm or discomfort?
Potential harm or discomfort to the public, perhaps, yes.
What about this? What if these two individuals were in a private bedroom? If they were in a private bedroom engaged in the activities that's described, and there was a video taken of that and posted to a website, do you think it would violate the Code of Ethics then?
And there was no audience, no paid audience?
No audience, and let's say they were surreptitiously recorded, they were secretly recorded, and it was posted.
That would not be, that would violate the Code of Ethics, yes.
Do you think this example is a fair comparison to my client's situation?
Not at all.
Would all of the violations of journalism ethics that we've talked about also be violations of basic journalism practices?
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Well, let me take my client's situation. Would the posting of a video that was secretly recorded in a private bedroom of my client naked and engaged in sex without his consent, would that violate basic journalism practices?
Absolutely. It's not journalism.
You watched A.J. Delario's testimony yesterday regarding his standard for publishing a celebrity sex tape, did you not?
I did.
And you mentioned child pornography today, correct?
That's correct.
Mr. Delario said that if a child is over 4 years old, it's newsworthy to publish a sex tape of them. Did you hear that?
That's what I heard.
Do you agree?
No.
No further questions, Your Honor.